Hello and welcome to this week's video and this week's review, which is not of a component hot off the press. Not all of the reviews I do on this channel are indeed hot off the press, and this amplifier from Parasound is one of those. Now, I've always wanted to review this particular amplifier ever since I reviewed its much cheaper brother, the Parasound Halo integrated amplifier. And well, I've had some channel viewers talking to me about doing more with the brand Parasound. They wanted to see more reviews of Parasound products, and I thought, well, now might be a good time to do that. So I'm looking at the Parasound Hint 6, the Hint 6 integrated amplifier, a whopping great amplifier it is as well. Retails in the UK for £3,999. Now, I've always wanted to get to grips with this muscle car of an amp, and I thought now was as good a time as any. Now, the Halo is priced at around £2,500. The Hint 6, as I've said, is priced at exactly £3,999. So, why the difference in price? Why the extra expense? Well, the quality of the DAC in the Hint 6 has been improved, in addition to the preamp section in the Hint 6, which has benefited from technology ported from the Parasound's P6 preamp. It also added a second optical input and upgraded the volume control, but retained the power amplifier stage. The build quality of the Hint 6 in broad terms is very good indeed. Solid is the Hint 6, that's what I call it, I reckon. This is a big box which talks of strength and presence. The Hint 6 will be the dominant heart of any hi-fi it's connected to, and that's before you even switch it on. Visually, it commands attention. Now, as ever, before I dive into the more techie aspects of this particular integrated amplifier, I think we need to change scenery, don't you think? I think, in fact, we need to take a closer look. And welcome to the closer look section for the Parasound Hint 6 integrated amplifier. And as you can see, it's a big old box, and rather impressive it looks just sitting there. But initially, I wasn't exactly enamoured with the control layout, considering that there's enough aluminium on the front fascia to fill 2 football pitches. The controls and indicator lights are a little bit cramped or shoved into corners, while the knobs, volume excluded, are rather small and fiddly. Considering the price, I'm also unsure why the built-in headphone amplifier only offers a 3.5mm socket. I would have preferred a 6.35mm as a base fixture. The main design issue I have with this amplifier is the inclusion of tone controls. Now, considering the price of this unit, tone controls seem a particularly odd choice. Firstly, tone controls cost money. This amplifier was built to a budget, and tone controls would have eaten up some of that budget. Now, when you consider that most hi-fi products are created to a desired price point, and I would call £3,999 a price point, any included component has to be a compromise. So if you include a better quality this, then you might have to lower the quality of that to balance the budget. Including tone controls surely has meant that some other feature in the amplifier has suffered a tad, or possibly another, maybe more desirable feature has had to make way altogether. That's my first problem. The second issue is this. If you're going to spend a heap of cash on an integrated amplifier, then you take it out of the box, and then you immediately change its sound output by fiddling with its tone controls, then why are you buying the amplifier in the first place? What's the logical point in that? Why not buy something else that appeals to your ear right out of the box? The remote is a simple yet effective offering. It's light and of an appreciable size, yet it was never unwieldy. Sure, for the price of this amplifier, I would have liked to have seen a better quality of build, but saying that, it remained easy to use and comes with optional backlighting via a simple push button. Apart from that headphone socket, the volume knob with its visual indicator window, the tone controls, the front fascia offers an auxiliary input, balance control, input knob, a mute button, dimmer switch for the volume output window, input lights, and power standby button. On the rear is an IEC socket and a rocker power switch. You get speaker sockets, of course. A pair of balanced inputs and outputs are included, and a balanced subwoofer output. Vinyl fans will be happy to see the phono sockets, both for moving magnet at 47k ohms and moving coil at 100 ohms. There are 5 pairs of single-ended RCA inputs. There are preamp controls and outputs, subwoofer controls and outputs, and then we move to the digital section on this fully featured amplifier. You can find 2 optical ports, coax and USB for the built-in ESS ES9018 K2M Sabre 32 reference DAC, and what a mouthful that is. This DAC offers up to 32-bit 384 kHz and also DSD256. That is, the asynchronous USB 2 socket supports PCM up to 32-bit 384. The coax and optical inputs accept PCM up to 24-bit 192. A home theater bypass input is included for surround sound integration. Inside of the chassis lies a large shielded toroid power transformer and a dual mono power supply and power amplifier with matched JFET input stages and MOSFET driver stages. For your safety, you also get temperature and short circuit relay protection. Spanning 437 by 413 by 437 millimeters, which is around 17 by 16 by 17 inches. The Parasound Hint 6 weighs in at 15 kilograms or 33 pounds. So much for how the Parasound Hint 6 actually looks and its built-in features. But how does this thing actually sound? Well, let's get down to the sound quality tests and we'll find out. And welcome to the sound quality tests for the Parasound Hint 6 integrated amplifier. And to begin the sound tests, I began with a CD and a much neglected rock outfit, the Strawbs, and their 1978 album Deadlines, reissued by the Esoteric label in a neat box, packed with 10 bonus tracks, a second CD featuring BBC Radio 1's Sight and Sound in concert performance from Golders Green Hippodrome, London, 18th of February 1977, and a DVD of the same concert. My test track was from the original Deadlines album, a track called No Return. Now, this amplifier is a bit of a muscle product, as I've already said. It's big, it's macho, it's meaty, and it's filled with testosterone. It loves to flex its biceps. The Hint 6 sits within a bunch of hi-fi products that also like to impress by wearing white vests. All of them have an uncontrollable urge to do lots of press-ups as soon as a lady enters the room. All of them have difficulty passing a mirror without checking out their own posteriors. Saying that, what the Hint 6 in particular offers that many other muscle amps do not is a sense of the finesse that backs the power. So more James Bond than Bob the Builder then. At the beginning of this track there are a bunch of power chords. It's the sort of opening made for an amplifier like this. Immediately the power sound gets to flex at you, right between the eyes. The power was certainly here, but the power was not raw and primitive. The chords were far more complex than that, I would say. They also added a sense of the subtle, allowing detail to wander around the chords. The Hint 6 kept the presentation neutral. There was no dramatic mid-range emphasis to etch detail on the power. Instead, the information was offered to the ear in a more naturalistic manner. More than anything else, the signature feature of the Hint 6 was a combination of both power and space. So what you got is grandeur and epic sprawl. Music was given to you across a wide vista. This meant that the power chords on this track were not direct and punchy. Instead, the Hint 6 was almost symphonic in its bass delivery. So power was offered via dimension. You're impressed by its size. This isn't power that hits you in the gut and leaves you breathless. This is power that fills the sky and leaves you awed. This also meant that the piano that entered the soundstage soon after was not akin to stand-up old Joanna from a corner pub via the backstreets of London's Old Kent Road, but one piloted by a concert pianist from the London Sinfonia. This was a piano whose resonance ranged across the horizon and came to the ear in 3 dimensions. Yet, it didn't dominate. It tended to snuggle into the mix as a team player, as part of that mix. It was not pushed into your face. Playing the vinyl version of Duke Ellington's Jazz Violin Session from 1963, a particularly low noise recording, I have to say, I had to up the game to compensate for this welcome increase in production quality, which enhanced the vast amount of air in the recording space. In fact, there was a large amount of reverb that bounced off every surface here with a dramatic effect, and the Hint 6 tracked every sonic reaction to that space. Violins had a crazy, crunchy resonance that oozed emotion and a sense of the playful. The track, Take the A Train, swayed and swung in a sort of up-tempo waltz that offered so much freedom in its presentation, I could have sworn the recording was completed with all the studio windows wide open. I grabbed a CD version of the same album, disconnected my CD transport from my Benchmark DAC and plugged in the same transport into the Hint 6's internal DAC instead. Sure, the internal DAC was rather more subdued, lacking in a little bit of sense of life and pizzazz when compared to the more expensive external model. But it's important to say that the internal model still did a great job for a bundled DAC. Yes, there was a slight upper mid-range edge during crescendos, yet there was plenty of detail on offer here and a goodly amount of space in and around the soundstage to compensate. I then grabbed a pair of Sennheiser HD660S headphones and inserted those into the Hint 6's built-in head amplifier, playing that same CD. I did notice a slight reduction in the overall expanse of that impressive soundstage and the large amount of air swirling around it, but on the other hand, the head amp was pretty neutral, I would say, and balanced in its presentation, retaining good discipline and offering a wealth of information to keep the ear interested. Finally, I connected a Riga Planner 3 to the built-in phono amplifier and played a Patti Page LP called On Camera, Patti Page Favourites from TV via the Mercury label. Now, despite its performance being a little weedy and slightly clinical around the upper mids compared to my reference external phono amplifier, again, the internal phono amplifier was very usable indeed, in that it still offered a broad soundstage, a welcome instrumental separation, and it also offered plenty of detail. No information was left hiding in dark corners here. So, how should I conclude the review of the Parasound Hint 6 integrated amplifier? Well, the Hint 6 impressed, firstly in the sheer amount of features it has on offer. That wealth of features enhances its value for money, but despite its bulk, does reduce the overall footprint when you compare all of those individual built-in features to their externally fitted brethren. That is, if you took out all those internal features, put them in external chassis and spread them all over your shelves, you'd be taking up an awful lot of extra space. So the Hint 6 squeezes an awful lot of features into that chassis. If you only look at the extras as just that, bonus features, and just concentrate upon the core amplifier itself, the Hint 6, you'll find much to like here. This is a design that provides power and grunt, but does so without a sense of the primitive or the crude. There's nothing unsophisticated here about the Hint 6. In fact, the Hint 6 is far from being a savage. It's a rather cultured beast. The Parasound Hint 6 is a rather erudite intellectual of an amplifier with teeth and big boots. And that's it for this particular video. Thank you very much for staying to the end, and also thank you so much for all of your support. I much appreciate all of the likes and the subscribes. And for anyone who hasn't, well, down there somewhere, if you could click a few buttons, I'd much appreciate that indeed. Please check out the description. There are chapter headings down there if you want to navigate through this particular video. There are also links to my social media pages. There's a link to my website, which has all kinds of editorial you won't find on this channel. And also, if you can support me on Patreon, I'd be very grateful indeed, because without Patreon support, this channel does not exist. That's true. The money from Patreon keeps this channel going. So if you like the videos you see on this channel, please consider supporting me on Patreon. And in return, I'll include a few little exclusives there for you, combination of text features and also videos as well. So have a look at that if you can, please. Now, I'll be back next week with another video. In fact, I might be back on Tuesday. Look out for Tuesday. There may be an announcement or two, or possibly three. Who can tell? I haven't made up my mind yet. Maybe four. I might go all out. It depends on my mood. But Tuesday, check out Tuesday. There's a bonus video on there then. Until that time then, he says, rather mysteriously. Until that time, lowering his voice still further. Bye-bye for now.